You don't dislike people. You actually feel things deeply. But somewhere along the way, being alone started feeling safer, quieter, less likely to cost you something emotionally. So now you cancel plans and immediately feel relief. You enjoy people for short periods of time, but eventually your nervous system wants distance again. Silence feels peaceful. Solitude feels regulating. And even though part of you sometimes wonders why connection feels so exhausting, another part already knows the answer. Because this was never just personality. It was adaptation. For some people, childhood taught them that closeness could change without warning. A parent who was warm one day and emotionally unreachable the next. Love that felt unpredictable. Attention that disappeared suddenly. And when a child grows up inside emotional inconsistency, their nervous system learns something important very early. Being emotionally attached can hurt. So instead of moving closer toward people, they slowly begin pulling inward. Not because they hate connection, because distance feels more stable. That is why some people feel calmest when they are finally alone. Nothing unexpected happens there. No emotional guessing, no monitoring moods, no trying to figure out whether someone is upset, distant, disappointed, or about to leave emotionally. Alone becomes the only place the nervous system fully unclenches, and over time, that safety becomes identity. But emotional neglect shapes solitude in quieter ways too. Some people grew up feeling emotionally unseen. They explained their feelings and were dismissed. They reached for comfort and received irritation instead. So eventually, they stopped reaching, stopped explaining, stopped expecting emotional support at all. And when that happens, long enough, a person learns how to emotionally survive without depending on anyone. On the outside, this can look like independence, self-sufficiency, emotional maturity. But underneath it, there is often a person who learned very young that vulnerability felt unsafe. Because needing people and not being emotionally met hurts deeply. So now they process everything alone. They disappear when overwhelmed. They isolate instead of asking for help. Not because they do not want support, but because their nervous system stopped expecting it a long time ago. And what most people misunderstand is that solitude does not always feel lonely. Sometimes it feels like recovery, especially for someone who grew up emotionally overstimulated. Homes filled with tension, arguments, emotional unpredictability, constant pressure to read the room correctly. In those environments, the nervous system becomes hyper-aware, sensitive to tone changes, facial expressions, emotional shifts, and eventually, being around people starts feeling like work, even safe people, because your brain never fully stops scanning emotionally. So when you finally get home alone at night, your body relaxes in a way it could not around others, not because you dislike people, because your nervous system finally stops protecting itself for a moment. And this becomes even stronger in highly sensitive people, the ones who absorb everything, the mood in a room, the tension and silence, the emotional energy other people ignore. As children, they often learn to emotionally withdraw simply to breathe, to reset, to feel like themselves again. And as adults, they continue protecting their peace through solitude. But eventually there comes a painful realization underneath all of this. You do not always choose isolation consciously. Sometimes your nervous system chooses it automatically before you even realize you needed protection. That is the hidden difference between enjoying solitude and emotionally defaulting to it. One feels peaceful, the other feels automatic. And once you understand that difference, something important happens. You stop seeing yourself as distant or broken. You realize your mind adapted intelligently to experiences that once made closeness feel emotionally unsafe. Your solitude was never weakness. It was protection. But protection can quietly become isolation if the nervous system never learns that safe connection is possible too. And maybe healing is not becoming more social. Maybe it is simply teaching yourself that closeness no longer has to feel like something you survive.